Money drives the world, but oddly enough, most people never learn how to really manage money. We're taught all algebra, geometry, Shakespeare, world history, but not how to handle a paycheck, save for your emergencies, or make our money work for us. And that's exactly what we're going to be starting to fix today. Because whether you're earning minimum wage or running your own business, understanding a few basic finance concepts can completely change your future. I've started learning this process a couple years ago to change kind of things that I messed up in my early 20s. So I kind of, as you know, falling into my role as the internet's unk here, talk to you guys a little bit about some basic concepts. I got like 10 written down. We're going to go through 3 of them today, and we're going to make it a little bit of a series over the next couple weeks to talk to you about this. So whether you earn, minimum wage, which in Delaware where I'm at, I think is like $8.25 an hour, or you're running your own business, understanding these couple things will hopefully help you in the future. So today we're going to be breaking down the first 3. That's budgeting, like pretty much how to manage your money, compound interest, and inflation, because those 3 things I feel like are all tied together. Budgeting, pretty much the function of it, how to manage what you make, compound interest, what your money can do for you, and then inflation, the negative side, what money is doing against you. By the end, hopefully you'll see why these connect and why they are the foundation for understanding your finances. Before we get into this, I have to say this. This is not financial advice. I'm in no way, shape, or form am I a financial advisor. I cannot help you in your individual situations. This is just an informational video for your knowledge. Do subsequent research. Do supplementary research. Do whatever you have to do. This is not advice. All right, the first skill, budgeting. It's not about restrictions, more about kind of like knowing where your money's going. So more awareness. Think of it like a map. If you're trying to reach your goal, like paying off some debt or saving for a car, or just not living from paycheck to paycheck, the budget is your GPS. Without it, you don't really know where you're going. So what exactly is it? Simplest version, it shows your income versus your expenses, what comes in versus what goes out. But a good budget goes beyond that. It's going to tell you your habits, priorities, and your trade-offs. So everyone has a budget. Some just don't write theirs down. If you spend your whole paycheck every month, that's still a budget. It's just unplanned and usually way out of whack. The goal with a budget is to become intentional with your money. One of the most simple and effective ways that a lot of people do is the 50-30-20 rule. 50% of your income goes to needs like food, rent, utilities. 30 to want, which is entertainment or hobbies or whatever, and 20 to savings or debt repayment. Now, this is really, really hard to reach in the beginning. I struggle with this. I'm still not at 50-30-20. It's more like 65, everyone's situation is different, but the formula is kind of like the starting point. So budgeting gives you control. When you track the spending, you'll notice things that you wouldn't otherwise. Realize that $6 coffees, $12 lunches, or any subscriptions are silently draining hundreds over the course of a month. Once you see these patterns, you could redirect it into paying down your debt, investing, or saving for something else. Personal experience on this one, I had a bad habit of getting something from the vending machine every day, usually about $5. That's $25 a week. That's $100 a month. $100 a month could literally almost pay my student loan payment every month. So it kind of helps. Next, compound interest, which a lot of people in the finance world call the 8th wonder of the world. Now, this is very important. Compound interest is what separates the financially secure people from the financially stuck people. It's what builds wealth over time if you're using it. So compound interest means you earn interest on your initial money and also the interest on the money that's already been earned. It's money working for more money. And that new money that it works for is also working. So let's say you have $1,000 that earns 10% per year. After 1 year, you'll have $1,100. In 2 years, you don't just earn 10% on your original $1,000. You earn it on your $1,100. So instead of $100 in interest, you end up with $110 in interest. By year 3, you're earning on 1210 and so on. And over time, it ends up snowballing. And rough math says if you leave $1,000 invested for 30 years at 10%, it'll grow to about $17,500 without you ever adding another dollar. Now, is that really a giant significant change? No, but over time, you want to continue to put money into that. So either way, that's the power of compound. It does more of the heavy lifting. The flip side, debt does the same thing too. Credit cards often charge like 20%. I have a credit union card, so mine's about 14%, which I think is pretty good. I know people with store cards that are getting 30%, which is absolutely nuts. So if you owe $1,000 and don't pay it off, the interest piles up, and it works the same way as compound interest. So compound interest itself is neutral. It's not a good or bad. It's just math. But it really depends on what side of the field you're playing on. So you want to invest early and consistently. Early doesn't mean you need to start investing when you're 16, you have your first paycheck. Early means that you need to find yourself in a good financial situation before you do so to do that. So let's, for an example, math example here, if you invest $200 a month at age 25 and earn 8%, by 65 you'll have $600,000. But if you wait until 35 to start, you'll end up with about just over $250,000. That's 10 years of compound interest. And it's not because you invested less, it's just less time in compound interest. So money loves time. The more time you give it to grow, the less effort you're going to need later. And you don't even have to be rich to start investing. You could just throw $5 a day at it. Or I set 4% of my paycheck every week to go into a brokerage account personally. And I started that with 2%. And as I got raises, I just bumped it up and bumped it up and bumped it up. And I'm 28, so I'm not even starting. I started investing when I was 26. So I missed some time from 18 to 27, but it's not about doing it when you're not ready. It's being consistent and understanding more so the application of it and managing your expectations. So next thing is inflation, which doesn't sound as exciting as compound interest, but it can really destroy everything you're working on. Inflation means that price rises over time. We're running through a period right now of insane inflation. The purchasing power of money falls. In other words, if the $100 that you have right now will buy you less next year than it does today. And you noticed it, groceries get more expensive, gas gets more expensive, rent is at an all-time high, your paycheck doesn't go as far as it used to. So a moderate amount of inflation is about 2 to 3%, and that's roughly normal. Shows the economy is growing, but even that mild inflation adds up. So let's say you have cash, right? You got 10 grand under your mattress. If inflation averages 3% in 10 years, that 10 grand in 10 years will only buy $7,400 worth of stuff. You didn't lose $1, you just lost value. Prices went up. So simply saving money isn't enough. You got to put it somewhere that it could grow. So that's where the budgeting and the compound interest thing comes together. Budgeting helps you free up the money. Compound interest helps that money grow, ideally at a rate that beats inflation. The national average is between 8 and 10%. So when you take 3% of inflation out, you're looking between 5 and 7%, which is good numbers. So while inflation erodes the value of the cash, investing allows you to ride the wave. And there are other things that are more secure. There are high interest savings accounts now that get you between 4 and 5%, where even if inflation is 3%, your money's still giving you 1 to 2% a year. It's not as good as the market. If the market's doing good, though, that's what people got to understand. There's good years and bad years. It's an average of 8 to 10%. All right, so let's put all this together, because money isn't just individual pieces. It's a whole thing. So budgeting, you're going to build your control. You're going to understand your money, reduce where you're wasting money, and free up your cash. Compound interest is where you build growth. This is the money that's going to work for more money, turn it into more money, and that new money is also going to work for you. Inflation, you need to learn to protect the value. It reminds you that money left in cash loses power. Now, you should have some level of cash. This is just a general thing. The world is not cashless yet, but for the most part, you shouldn't be stocking money up in cash. Now, when you use all three, you can literally go from, barely making it to keeping a baseline level or even thriving a little bit. So if someone earns $3,000 a month, this is a little ChatGPT math example I had them pull up. If you earn $3,000 a month, but you don't have a budget, so you spend $2,800 a month and save pretty much nothing, eventually you feel like you're going to be working harder to stay in the same place because you're not budgeting or saving. So let's say you start budgeting and you cut $300 of bullshit. Then you use that $300 to invest. Over 20 years, that $300 a month will grow to be about $165,000. Meanwhile, inflation keeps raising prices, but their investments are growing faster than that inflation. Again, this 8 to 10% versus 2 to 3%. So money stops being stressful and starts being a tool for freedom. The real secret behind all of this is personal finance isn't just math. It's more about your mindset. If you view budgeting as punishment, you're not going to like it. If you view investing as only for rich people, you never start. And if you ignore inflation because it's not visible, it's not real, it's fugazi, fairy dust, you lose purchasing power over time without realizing it. Truth is, wealth is built through habits and not luck. It's the small, consistent decisions that compound over time, which is just like interest. Every time you skip an impulse purchase or set money aside or choose to invest instead of spend, you cast a vote for future you. And the earlier you start, the louder those votes become. So instead of asking, how much can I make this month? How much can I grow over time? Because real wealth isn't built overnight. It's built through time, patience, and understanding. There are more millionaires in the world from compound interest over 20, 30, 40, 50 years than there are millionaires that came up with an insane idea. I don't know if that's necessarily a true statistic, but it feels real because there are tons of people worth $1 million, and not all of them had to come up with a life-changing idea. So a couple things to think about. Create a budget. Use an app if you need to, or an Excel spreadsheet. That's actually where mine is. Build an emergency fund. Dave Ramsey says 3 to 6 months of expenses. Start with 1, move to 3, move to 6. Set these little goals for yourself so you can see yourself building progress. But you need to understand what your expenses are, which is why the budget is important. Start investing early and consistently. If it's 3%, 4%, 5%, $25 a week, whatever it is, understand your debt. So pay off your high interest debts first, because that compound interest can work against you. Theoretically, you should pay off your credit card first if it has 15% interest versus student loans that have 7% interest or 9% interest, whatever it is. And there's different schools of thoughts on that too. Like, I know a lot of people that say pay off loans first because they can't come back, which is fundamentally true. But pay off your debt, understand your debt, and then keep learning about it. So you could read a couple books about it. There's books like Psychology Money. I read it earlier this year. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a book that's been in the financial community for years. There's other books that you could read. So it's not about being perfect. It's more about being intentional. So this is the foundation for understanding money and financial literacy without going to school for it. Or a lot of people have parents that were never taught, so they were never taught. I got lucky in my grandparents, without getting too specific on numbers, and my parents did the same thing, answered just about every question about money I ever had. So while I made some bad choices in my early 20s, I never made some outrageous choice that set me back the rest of my life. The truth is, I submitted my final car payment on Friday. I don't really have a lot of student loans, and I'm not really super in debt and credit card. My biggest expense or debt right now is my mortgage, which, depending on what side of the coin you're on, I got a really good deal on it. Actually, it helped out a lot when you look at a net worth calculator. But depending on the side you're on, a mortgage isn't a bad thing either. But this is the steps to building financial literacy, so you don't put yourself in a hole. And please, for the love of God, pass this on to your children. With all the love in my heart, my wife's family never taught her about this stuff. So at 28, I'm teaching my 25-year-old wife about money. And it's not a bad thing, and I love her to death, but she needs, everybody's got to learn at some point. So if you found this helpful, drop a like and subscribe. We're going to be doing a little bit of a mini series, probably 2-3 parts about these things. Tell me what you feel like you struggle with most out of what we talked about today, whether it's budgeting, compound interest, or inflation. What do you need more knowledge on? And then, again, this is not financial advice. I need to throw this in at the beginning and the end of the video. I cannot help you. I'm not a financial advisor. This is just informational. But pay attention, take care of your money, because if you don't, you're going to be in over your head and it's going to be controlling you. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next one. Peace out.